All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and begin. My name is Daniel Murphy. For those who may not know me, I think there may be like one person that hasn't seen me before, but I'm the web technology specialist here. I manage all the websites and do a lot of other kind of digital marketing stuff. And so I thought it'd be really fun to gather everybody and show you how to manage web pages for the news.newmanu.edu site, and then also how to add events to our campus calendar. Our events are actually displayed on the home page of our website, so it gets a lot of traffic. So if you have an event that you want to promote, get some people in there. It's a good reason to have administrative access to push calendar events. So I'll go over that. And then we're also going to spend some time learning about Google Drive / Google Docs and kind of how we're kind of leveraging that to sort of replace PDFs that are on our website. And it'll make your lives easier, make my life easier, makes everybody happy. And I'm going to show you the top 5 weird tricks, digital tricks to save you time and improve your efficiency here at Newman.
Are you able to move the podium just a little bit?
Sure. Awesome. Okay. Actually, before I get into that, I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of show you just real briefly how to manage stuff on the web. There's a sheet that's going around. If you don't have access to your websites or the websites pages that you manage, please put your name down on this page that's kind of going around, and I will provide you access. And the way that the permissions are set up through the website is kind of siloed, so only the permissions are set up, so only the pages that you manage you should have access to, unless we can set it up differently. But that's generally how it works. So basically, to log in is very bottom right part of the corner says Content Administrator, if you can see that right here. And then you would click on there, and it would have you log in. So I'm going to log in. And it's just your network, last name, first initial, just kind of like how you would log into the intranet. And then it brings you to this Welcome Content Administrator page. So if you remember nothing from this, just remember that after you log in, you'll be brought to this page where there is additional help info. There are some really nifty tutorial videos on how to make basic web page edits. And then so you can get started there. If you manage program pages, it's a little bit different from a basic web page. There's a little more features to kind of leverage how you display your content on those pages. So I'm just going to go to a basic page, and then we're going to go ahead and just make a basic change just so you can see how it works. If you see this little gear icon right here, that's when you know that you have access to edit a page. If you don't see that and you think that you have permissions to that page, let me know. There's probably something wrong with the permissions, and I need to figure out what the heck's going on, and I'll fix it for you. So what you do is you click on that little gear icon, and then you click Edit. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not like a normal page with text on it. Let's go to a different page. Let's go to the Graduate Theology page. Okay, and let's just say that I want to put a link in Catholic theology. Just kind of show you how to quickly add a link. Okay, so I'm going to go click on that gear icon, click Edit. Okay, and you should see this, what's called a WYSIWYG content editor. WYSIWYG is it stands for what you see is what you get, but it's not always what you get. So anyway, you would just highlight the text that you want to put the link to. There's a little link icon here, and then you would put the URL that you want to add. So let's just say, and it always starts with an HTTP or an HTTPS. // and this is called a fully qualified domain, in case you wanted to know. So google.com. Okay, and then let's just say that instead of directing people away from this page, I want to have a new window open so they can actually get back to the page that they were on. This is a little setting down here called Target, and then I will open in a new window, and I'm just going to quickly change this. Well, I'm not even going to save it. Just kind of showing you right there. That's how we would just hit save, and it would save, and you can go to it. You could check it out, whatever. But I'm not going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to go ahead and get to the next step. Does anybody have any questions about that part? I mean, that's really kind of top of the iceberg.
So once you log in, you can go all over our domain.
Yeah.
Your login is only tied to what you have.
Yeah, the editing capability is administered through the front end of the website. There's also kind of I have like kind of back end access where there's more stuff, but the more stuff you have, the more loss you can get. So it's fairly simple, to edit from the front end. If you after you log in, you come to that welcome content administrator page. There's more videos to kind of show you how you can create a stylized button. Like you see like the Newman branded button where it's squared and whatever. So it'll kind of go into more depth. But I have a few more things I kind of want to cover here, so I don't want to go that in depth. So does anybody have any other questions? Did I answer your question? Okay. Does anybody have any other questions as far as like how to administer your web pages? Okay. All right. So the next step is for those that edit events, to get them displayed on the main web page of news.newmanu.edu, which displays kind of towards the bottom. Get a lot of traffic there. They're also displayed and kind of hosted through the news site, which is news.newmanu.edu. And has the campus calendar right here. And so a lot of people that submit events or student activities, there's some alumni events that are open to the public, like Party in the Plaza, that sort of thing. Some of how many people work directly with students in their student activities? Okay, all right. So you would want to kind of promote this to your students. Anybody that has like a campus club or something that they just have an event going around on campus. They have like a fundraiser or whatever. A lot of times I don't get that information, or it's just kind of just under the radar. But if it's open to students, or pretty much any kind of event you want to draw traffic to, you want to put it on the campus calendar. So to do that, I would grant you permission and set up your access through that form that's going around. And then so after you log in here, put in your username and password. Again, it's the same username and password that's your network username and ID. So don't put your full email address in here. It's just your last name, first initial, and then your network password. And it's got a little captcha right down there, but you can put whatever in there. It's just, it doesn't really work, but Anyway, so after you get logged in, it'll bring you to this back end right here. Actually, you know what? Let me test it out. I don't think it does that automatically. I'm just going to go ahead and run through the motion right here. Math is hard. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't bring you to that back end automatically, but what it will show you is this top black bar right here after you've logged in. Okay, and then what you would do next is you would go hover over the new button at the top, and then you would go to event. And if you don't see this new event on there, you may have access, but you may not have the capability to add events. So if I've given you access and you don't see that, let me know and I'll fix it. But so you click there, and this will bring you to the back end. And this has specific fields in there for events. So it would have a start time, or a start date, start time, end time. You would choose the venue for the event. And if you don't have one, you can actually put in here Tarcisia, whatever. I would not, even though you have the ability to, I would not add another organizer or venue to this because it gets kind of clunky. If there is a venue or an organizer that's not in here, let me know and I can add it in for you. I would like all events to have an image in here, a featured image, but I don't really expect a lot of people to kind of, put in their own images. But if you guys don't put it in, we'll put one in for you. Or if you can just email me or any of our university relations staff an image to kind of say like, hey, I just want this image to be added to this event, you can do that. If it's being pulled into the news.newmanu.edu front page, it needs to be a certain dimension. So most times it would just make sense to send us an image, and then we'll add it in here. But you can also do so through the back end by clicking on this feature. You can just drag and drop, and it'll just load in here, or you can select your file and go through your desktop that way. Then you would also put in like an event category. Most often it's like student activities or relevant. I would refrain from putting on the homepage feed because it needs to go through us, and we'll decide if that's something we want to kind of push to the masses. But that is the functionality which actually drives it to our homepage. Obviously, put in your title, a little bit of description in here. If it's like a multi-day event and you need more information, you can put that information here. But yeah, please put information here that would drive traffic, some marketing content. Why should people attend your event, that sort of thing. So I wouldn't worry about any of the rest of the stuff. So you need your title, content, your time. You need a featured image, and you need to set your categories. Don't worry about the tags here. After you're done, on your end, you'll see, instead of a publish button, you'll see a submit button, submit for approval or something like that, and it'll be right here. So it'll be a blue button. After you send it, I will get an email knowing that somebody has submitted an event for approval, and then we'll review it, make sure that it doesn't conflict with major events, or just make sure it looks good and make sure it's in the right category. If it's a larger event or something that's open to the public, it has a good chance of us putting it on the homepage. So please submit events, because like I said, that just kind of helps me with my workflow. It helps you because you don't have to submit through me, wait for me to get back to you. So does anybody have any questions as far as this is concerned? There is also a video on the web content administrator on the homepage, or through the newmanu.edu. After you get logged in, there will be some instruction videos on how to add events through here as well. So if you forget anything, just remember there's that welcome content administrator page after you log into the main website, and you can refer to a lot of the stuff. I'm actually going to, this video that I'm taking right now, I'm actually going to include that also on that page. Okay. Any questions? Okay. All right. Breaking PDFs. You like that? It's like a little graphic. I made it this morning. Okay. All right. So PDFs versus Google Docs. We used to use PDFs for a lot of things. They have their pros and cons, and they have their place. And I'm not trying to completely get rid of PDFs, but as far as what we're linking on to our websites for, they're best served as Google Docs instead of PDFs for many reasons. You can't edit PDFs, or you can, but it takes a special software tool to edit it. Every time that you edit a PDF, you have to send it to me or a member of my team. We have to upload it, and then something changes, and you have to delete it, put another one up, so it's kind of a hassle on both sides. Originals get lost. They are created in Word docs usually, and a lot of times, they can't be found, so like, all right, who has the original Word doc? Because all I have is PDF and I can't edit it. So that's a problem there. It's kind of hard to collaborate. I guess you can collaborate with the new Microsoft Word, but Google does it so much better. In my opinion, I don't really use the new Office, but who here uses a Microsoft product for collaboration in any way, shape, or form? Okay, all right. So Google Docs. who's here doesn't really know a whole lot about Google Docs? It's kind of a shady gray area. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's always stuff you can kind of learn. There's always tricks that I'm learning that can improve my workflow. They've got a lot of cool stuff, and it comes out almost on a daily basis. So some of the updates and new products that they offer, mainly for free. So I think it's really, really awesome. So yeah, you can edit Google Docs anytime you want by linking to a publicly shared Google document on the web. You can edit it just by logging into your Google account, changing the text on the document. There's no need to delete it and replace it with another doc, which makes it super convenient. I suppose they could be accidentally deleted by an administrator, but it's very less likely for a original Google Doc to become removed as opposed to PDFs or Word documents. Team Drive is a real powerful tool. I'm going to talk about more in just a little bit. Collaboration friendly. You can have like 5 people editing the same document at the same time. You can see who's editing what, so it's kind of neat. I mean, if you are professors, highly encourage your students to use Google Docs as a collaboration tool. Daniel?
Yeah, even with the originals never being lost, like if somebody leaves, the idea that if you have the collaboration going on within the team, the idea would be that you would have it on your docs as well. So if somebody does leave off your team, then you would have that original. You wouldn't have a problem being able to keep that document within your Google Docs, even if they're going on that collaboration or whatever might happen. So
Yep.
Google Docs is a very, very helpful thing if you're using even just within 2 people or up to 10 to 15 people with one document.
Mm-hmm.
Did not put me in here as a promo person.
Yeah. I didn't know him before, now, and so, it's totally not canned at all. He's not paid or endorsed in any way. Another cool thing about Google Docs is it has version history. So if you need to kind of go back, 5 edits in, somebody else has edited the document, and you're not sure who or what changes were made, you can actually go into version history, see who changed what at what time. So I mean, that's just unbelievable. So it's just, I just think it's awesome. That's just it. It's just awesome. Permissions, another really great reason that Daniel had said. You kind of stole my thunder, man. Come on. You can convert into Word docs. You can import from a Word doc, and you can export it as a PDF. So just because you're using Google Docs doesn't mean other people can't view it. So it's a very flexible tool.
I've tried to do that. I mean, as far as using it as a Word doc, and I'm not very savvy, so I'm going to put that right up front. I don't always know when I'm doing point and click is about as good as I get. I've had some problems with formatting when I try and convert it into a Word doc or put it into Blackboard. The formatting is different. Is there something I can do to fix that?
I'm not sure how your process is to convert it into a Google Doc, but I'll go over that real quick. Hopefully I can find a Word doc on here. If not, we'll just kind of create something real quick and then edit it on here. If you take a Word doc, upload it to Google Drive, and then open it with Google Docs, it converts it into a Google Doc. But it's 2 different technologies talking to each other, so it may not appear exactly the same. So there may have to be a little bit of post editing in there, but I've noticed that as well. Okay, Google Team Drives. So does anybody in here use Google Team Drives? Not just Google Drive, but Team Drives. Okay. I've only just started using it this year, and I think it's real awesome. But there are some limitations to kind of be aware of, but it adds some extra functionality. One thing to know about Google Team Drives here at Newman is that we are an educational institution, and we have an unlimited limit things we can put on Google Drive, and so I think that that's really incredible, especially for university relations. We're putting tons of photos and everything else on there, so we're kind of using it as an online kind of secondary backup tool for our shared drive. And the Google Team drives act as an internal shared drive, and the fact that if you have access to a particular drive, you will see the same folder structure as I had set up. Whereas a typical Google Drive, if I have a folder and I share that folder access with you, you can put that folder and reorganize it however you want. Your organization and structure is going to be different than what I have in my Google Drive, because that's your preferences for how your files are laid out. So Team Drive is a little more kind of it's easier to communicate about where things are, in relation to where you're at. So I think that was pretty helpful. Another thing with Team Drives is that as far as permissions, you can add anybody internally and externally to edit this drive, but as far as sharing folders and assets, if anybody is familiar with sharing, if I wanted to share a folder with you on my Google Drive, I could do that, but I can't share an individual folder on the Team Drive for whatever reason. It's a security issue, I think. So that's one limitation that Google Drive does have. But I mean, so the only way that I could share with somebody else if I gave you access to the whole drive. But if the weird thing is, if I wanted to share a single file publicly or with somebody individually, I can do that. It's just it doesn't work out with individual files. Or I'm sorry. It doesn't work out with folders, not files. So, is anybody kind of lost there?
I got a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when I go to my drive, there's like this quick access thing that comes up, and I see one says I added this document this month, another one says you opened it this month, and it's I think the same document.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets I'm not really sure how many copies of documents I have, and then questions about security, like if you're sharing them, you give somebody access to somebody's email.
Yeah, let me show you. Let me show you an example here. Maybe you can make sense out of what I'm seeing. Okay, so this is my university Google account. I think that this is what you're looking at, the quick access there at the top. These files over here is what you might be confused about which version is what, right? It should only show you through here the quick access. You should only have one version or one file. If you open that up, you can view other versions. Let's say that okay, so for this presentation, I'm going to open this Google slide. Okay, so if you go to File and Version History, so I'm going to click on See Version History. Okay, I've only have a couple versions here today because I just opened it up. So you would see that version history here. So you shouldn't have separate. If you see multiple files here, it's probably because they're saved or duplicated, And one way to kind of do that is to kind of go in here, go to File, and I think you would just do Save Page As. It's Chrome. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I think that document might be duplicated in some way. So I can get with you later. Yeah, no, it's not. I would actually have to kind of look into your account and see what's kind of going on. But do you have any other questions?
Well, I guess just the whole question of the security of
Okay. So let's say that I want, as far as security goes, I'm just going to go over like permissions. Is it okay? Okay. So let's say that I have a document here, and I want to share this document. So there's different levels of permission, and this is kind of one of the things I kind of wanted to go over here. Okay, if I wanted to share with individual people, I would put their email addresses here. As long as those people have a Google email address, that will go to them. Okay.
Do you have to use the Google email, or can you use without
You can use any Google account. As long as it's a Google account, it can be internal or external, from what I understand. But
So our news.newmanu.edu mail is a Google.
yes, well, yeah, it's kind of tricky. I know that it's ran by Microsoft. What do you call it? The mail server from Microsoft. Yeah, well, it's Exchange, which kind of Outlook is the mail client for it. But we have an account that is a Google account that is associated for each of our email addresses. So we may not receive mail directly through Google unless it's kind of set up that way. But our Google Drive account, is associated with that email address. Okay. So another thing that I would use permissions for is to get the shareable link if I want to share this link with somebody else. And then so there's different permission levels here. So by default is anyone internally can view this. So if you see this here, anyone at Newman University can view that, and I would just copy that link, and all of a sudden that would be viewable, but only in the internal. Okay. Now, if you want it to be available outside, you would have to put their Gmail address in here specifically. Okay, does that make sense? Or another way of doing it, if you select over here, you can actually copy that link and then set it to anyone. Okay, hold on a second here. Okay, so let me go back here. If you drop this down and you click on more, you have more options here. So you can actually click to share it on the web. This way that nobody has to have a Google account to view this document. And when I'm linking a web document or a Google document to be shared publicly on the web, I use this setting here. Okay. Or if you want it to be you want to kind of share it with people you don't want the whole world knowing it's there, then you would use this option. Anyone with the link can view this page, or anyone internally, or you can have this off and just specific people. That's the way that they would have to have their email address put in there. Does that explain a little bit about the permissions, or do you want me to kind of walk through how I did that again?
Dan, you can also do permissions with editing, right, too? Where people can just view it, or they can also edit it, right?
Yeah, but they would have to have a Gmail address in order to edit it.
Yeah, which is on the tab on the right.
And so let me show you what it looks like here. And this is kind of one of the things that might be confusing to other people. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drop this down. I'm going to go ahead and click more. I'm going to click share this on the web. Yeah, none of this stuff is really sensitive here. I'm just going to use this as an example. Okay, and then I'm going to copy the link. And then one way to know if this works or not is open up a different browser than the one that you're logged into Google with. So right now I'm logged into Google, but I'm going to open up Safari. That way that I know that I'm logged out of Google, and I want to see this page as it would be seen by the public view. Okay, so this is what the document would look like for if it were linked on our Newman site, and then somebody doesn't have a Google account. They open this page, and this is what they see. They don't have the ability to edit it, they could request access to edit it, but unless you really want them to edit it, just decline the invitation. Does that make sense to anybody? Okay.
When you're setting up the links to,
Mhm.
to share, you've got the links to the website and the links to different wider perspectives. Can you share or can you create a group to share a link with? In other words, if I have 22 nursing students I want to share something with, I have to enter all of those email addresses individually.
Or another way you could do it, yes, but that's one way. If you want it to be more secure, if you wanted to require them to have a Google account and then have only those specific people look at that document, then yes, that's the only way to do it. But you could set the permissions to say only people with this link can view it. So that means that people can't stumble upon it from the web or whatever. If you send an email to somebody and they forward on to another person, if that link is contained within that chain of emails, then they can get to that document. So just kind of be aware of that. But the only benefit of doing that is that it's not searchable through Google search engines to find that link. Does that make sense? So there's two options you could do that with.
Does Blackboard have something within it that will let them add a Google Doc where they would be everybody logged into that class?
Well, I think that Blackboard is kind of built in the way that is supposed to kind of, be a collaborative tool in itself through the discussion boards, But I mean, you could create what I would do is create a new team drive. Okay, you can create multiple team drives for whatever reason. Let's say that I want to create a drive and I wanted you to see the same folder structure as I see on my drive. I would create a new team drive and invite those people to edit that. So that way that people can add files, they can remove files, they can collaborate within this siloed drive.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of when they have a class.
Mm-hmm.
Where you don't have to enter all of the students separately if there's some other way to do this.
Yeah, I'm sure that there is a way to kind of build that functionality in there, but I don't see an easy way to just embed a shared folder, in Google.
I've done something because I wanted my students to get from Blackboard to an assignment I created within Google Docs, and I had to put the URL as a link and then click on that, take them to Google Docs, and they could access the assignment there. And it wasn't done under documents. There's something at the very bottom
Mm-hmm.
that I've tried to create an assignment where it's actually graded within the Google Docs. I don't want it
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some plugins that you can actually install through your browser that would help you with, there's like a Quizlet thing that you can install on Google Chrome that's kind of an extension to like your Google worksheet or Google Sheets Google Forms also is another tool that you can use to do that.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's at the bottom of and we were able to bring in and copy and paste and put in pictures and put in multiple choice questions, essays, that kind of stuff. So we did it as a pilot, and I could not get the students to get to it. So the easiest way I found, or I figured out, was just to have URLs like within Blackboard.
Okay.
It worked okay. It wasn't great.
Daniel.
Just Google's pretty great with the, I don't know how much you've gotten to play around with. This Google Classroom is a great tool. If you go in up in the top right, the little head thing, then you scroll down on that, or you go to more, sorry. Is that one of the options that we get built in with it or not? I don't know if it's built in with it. That might be something to explore for it. It's a great way to be able to bring a group in at one, and you as a teacher can share with your
There is a Google
students the
Groups.
assignments. You can also do groups, but
Mm-hmm.
I made the assignments before.
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great way to just be able to share it all on there, and they can actually write comments back on there. You can see and get a notification on it. But I don't know if it's built in within the Google setup that we have for it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they don't list all the apps right here, but yeah, I'll have to look into that. So I just want to kind of bring your attention to a couple of these, well, just one drive in particular. This team drive right here, NU Academics, is where I have started containing a lot of the academic documents that's linked on the web. So program page information, some of the transfer credit documents are on there that's linked to the web. So I found that this is a much more consistent way to kind of contain those documents. So this is the shared drive, the team drive that I'm going to kind of use going forward. So let me know if you want access to this drive. That way that you don't have to send a Google Doc to me with your own permissions. I have to copy the Word doc and then put it in this drive. That way that you can just kind of go in there, create your own document, even create your own folder in there, and then go that route. So let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in. If you have been creating PDFs that have been linked on the web, then I highly recommend that you get set up for that. So talk to me afterwards, and then I'll get you set up.
One more quick question.
Yes, sir.
If you own a document that your name is the owner and you delete it, is that?
Yeah, that team drive would still exist, but I would think that you would still want to have a few people have access to the top level rights to it, which is like you have the ability to add and remove team drive members. So you don't want to limit that to just one person. You want to have a couple people who are responsible to kind of have that.
What I'm saying is if I delete the document,
Uh-huh.
is it gone from people's access, or is it just deleted from my?
I believe that you can revert. I'm not certain about that, but as far as like files, I know that Google does save the file for a certain time frame, so you can revert to that change, before it was deleted. So I'm not sure how soon, if it's 5 minutes or a few days to 30 days. That's a good question. I don't know. I'll get back to you on that, and I'll email you an answer. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Does anybody have any feedback or any kind of knowledge share that they would like to contribute with? Okay. All right. On to the next section. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to talk about like 5 of my apps that I use almost daily in my department, and maybe that you can kind of take these to your department. And I'm just going to go over these real quick. One of them is Asana, and Asana is a project manager, task manager. It has a lot of different permission levels, and it's kind of robust setup. But once you kind of get going, it's a real collaborative way to make sure that things are done, tasks are completed. You can actually put in custom variables about like what the status is, whether it's the task has not been completed or it has been completed. We use this in university relations. I know that the university advancement isn't really fond of this, but Daniel's kind of giving me that look back there. But I think it definitely has place. We have a subscription that university relations paid for. It's a paid tier. There is a free option, but unfortunately, since we own the news.newmanu.edu domain on that account, you will not be able to sign up for free. But just kind of keep this in mind, that if your team needs help with delegating tasks or keeping more structure with the delegation of tasks and projects, please let me know, and we could possibly add more licenses onto our current subscription. So there's plenty of other task managers, project managers out there. This just happens to be the one that we use. So if you aren't using a project manager, you should consider one to see if it might streamline your workflow in your department. Slack. This is kind of like an instant messenger / community discussion board. I've been trying to get this kind of going. Anyone with a news.newmanu.edu email address can join this community. If you have been thinking, oh man, I remember instant messenger from back in the day, whatever happened to that? You can use this as a direct messaging tool for students, faculty, staff, communication. Even have our own like Johnny Jet little emojis that I created in it. Go ahead.
Why not just send an email? Like, what's the advantage to?
It's real time. It's kind of hipsterish. Like if you remember, like instant messaging, it's just like a two-way communication, whereas email is a little bit slower communication. It also, if you have a conversation that you want to include other people on, not just two-way communications, like a group collaboration discussion, and that's where it really comes in big. If you have a large discussion, emails often get lost and deleted, and so this is a kind of way to kind of go back and kind of say, hey, remember that conversation we had back a while? You can actually pin that conversation to the top so that the community is aware that if the administrator thinks a particular topic is interesting to the whole community, we can pin that to the top. So yeah, I realize it's another way to get annoyed by other distractions. I totally get that, and it's not for everybody. And but I know that it's really kind of being accepted, especially younger people and especially the technology community really gravitates towards this as a collaboration tool.
Is it free?
It is free. Yeah.
I'm thinking in the nursing program we could have a real nice application system that we could have separate headings. For example, our students spend a lot of time in the lab independently working on the skills that we've taught them. Often questions will pop up. We get lots of emails. Either myself or Amelia will get emails back and forth. If we had something like this, if we had centralized phone nutrition, then the specific topics that we could have running conversations and everything.
Yep.
Can we do something like that?
Yeah, so these are basically kind of sub-channels within your Slack group. And so you can the admin can create as many channels as they want. I would say that, if it's a tool that you would think that you would use, but I think that this is more kind of like for the broader Newman community. If you wanted to start your own Slack channel for your own class, I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah.
It also, you can download the mobile app. There's desktop apps. So if you want to if you want to make sure that you're notified whenever somebody's talking about anything in this board, in this channel, you also get. You can also set your own notifications to where I don't want to receive notifications for everybody's conversation, or so it's you can personalize it so that you're more or less annoyed with the notifications. So. Yeah, but I basically kind of use it currently to talk to student workers, so we're not kind of going back. I honestly, I do prefer face-to-face communication. I'm always kind of going to people, and I like that face-to-face interaction, but there are times when it just makes sense to kind of get that real fast communication, or, I just need that real quick thing. So anyway, so there's Slack. Google Data Studio. How am I doing on time? Okay, I think I'm kind of getting close there. Google Data Studio, if you guys use data for reporting at all, need to make some spreadsheets, finance, marketing, whatever you guys, I think every department has an opportunity to display their information visually, and I think that it helps communicate a lot easier. Google Data Studio is super powerful, and it's free. There's no trial version. It's just something that Google has. You can import data from a CSV, spreadsheet, Google Doc, obviously. You can if you have a database of something, you can import, an SQL database, if you want to. But the cool thing is you can actually mix and mash all these sources of data to create your own layered view if you want to be that complex. Or you can just simply upload an Excel spreadsheet and create pivot tables, but it's a real easy, quick way to create visualizations with your data. So, anybody have any questions about this? Pretty cool tool. I'd definitely check it out. How many people keep their passwords on a written notebook? Okay. All right. This is for you guys. This is one of the more secure password keepers that I've came across, mainly because that it has the option to only store the database on your local computer or wherever you store that. You could actually store it on Dropbox, but it's less secure, obviously. Anytime you put passwords out on the cloud, even as secure as the host might be, you're always kind of removing that layer of security. So KeePass is one way to keep track of all your passwords, and it saves the database on your computer wherever you decide to store it. You can make backups of that database, save it, in a thumb drive or whatever, So you can create categories of passwords. So if you need one for, I have my personal work or whatever. I actually use this within my department, and I share the login password with kind of like top people in our group, not necessarily student workers, but has if I were to, God forbid, get in a car wreck tomorrow and die, they would be able to have all the passwords that I have here, and I don't have to worry about writing stuff on notebooks, putting, heaven forbid, sticky pads on your monitor with passwords to your computer. I know nobody does that here, right? Okay, all right. Oh, KeePass. And it's also, there's a KeePass X if you're a Mac person. It uses the same database file, so you can actually take that same database file, upload it to a Mac or Windows. So, is that your question? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I said something about storing something in the computer.
Okay.
I have a cookie system. Sort of write my passwords in code and
No, but this is a great way. I try to make my passwords super secure, and I don't know any of my passwords because they're so secure that it's almost impossible for me to remember them. So this is a great way to kind of get in that good habit of generating passwords that are just difficult to unencrypt. Just a security tip from a guy who I was listening to on the webs, basically said that it doesn't matter, how difficult, you could have an 8-character password that it's all cryptic, but it's super easy to break into. The best practice is to have a really long password, even if it's something you can remember, just make it super long, greater than 10 characters, so it's, if it's, also kind of make sure that your passwords are different, if you have if your passwords are all the same and one of them's compromised, and all of a sudden, they know that you bank at USAA, so then all of a sudden they now can get into your USAA account. So it's good practice to keep all your passwords different. So anyway, just a little bit of security 101. Okay, another app that I use, fifth and final one, is called CAP. And it's basically a screen recording, video sharing, or a video recording for your computer. I believe it's available on both Windows and Mac. Super free. Sometimes it's very handy to communicate with people visually what you're doing, what you're seeing, and you need to just store it as a video file. So, and it's real quick. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but it's very user friendly, very easy, very modern. So pretty cool for being free.
Are you using that on our website?
I've used something else previously, but I might use it for future tutorials going forward. And then, if for the library staff, it'd be helpful with what they do. I'm not sure what they currently use, but for being free, it does quite a bit. Yeah, if you have a microphone hooked up to your computer, it will record your voice as well. Okay, and that's all I have. And does anybody have any questions about anything, or would you like me to kind of follow up with you about something else in detail? I'd be happy to do so. Just send me an email. I'll be happy to kind of elaborate on any particular one thing. I'll get back to you, John McCormick, about like whether what happens if you delete something, whether it can be restored by another user. That's a good question.